The gymnast considered the greatest of all time, Simone Biles, surprised the Olympics by announcing she's withdrawing from some events for a reason she thinks more people should take to heart. Take a look.
No injury, thankfully, and that's why I took a step back, because I didn't want to do something silly out there and get injured. So I thought it was best if these girls took over and did the rest of the job. It's been really stressful, this Olympic Games. I think just as a whole, not having an audience, there are a lot of different variables going into it. It's been a long week. It's been a long Olympic process. It's been a long year. So just a lot of different variables. I say put mental health first, because if you don't, then you're not going to enjoy your sport and you're not going to succeed as much as you want to. So it's okay sometimes to even sit out the big competitions to focus on yourself, because it shows how strong of a competitor and person that you really are.
Now, Sarah, you've been very open about mental health. You understand her decision?
I 100% understand her decision and admire her for the strength to recognize that. The problem with mental health is when you're an athlete and you break your foot, you can show people what that is, and there's a clear line of rehabilitation and getting back on your feet. Mental illness and mental health and its delicate nature is elusive. It can sneak up on you, and even when you've gone through a low before or had anxiety, it can creep back in when you least expect it, and you may not be able to identify it right away, but it will do its damage anyway. It can be crippling, paralyzing. Like it can... Things that you took for granted, like saying a sentence, you can forget what you're going to say and then not remember what you said, and it can get you in your head. Now, with an athlete at this level, some of the judges were scoring her down so as not to incentivize other gymnasts to do some of the level of difficulty Simone Biles has done in her routines. The scary part about that is if you're Tiger Woods and you're having an off day and you go to the golf course, it's fine, no one's going to get hurt. You have an off day or you're in your head in gymnastics at this level, she could really have hurt herself to a level that would have defined the rest of her career if there was any left to have had. Now, the one thing I want to say is it broke my heart when she said, "I hope America still loves us or loves me." That insecurity just like tugged on my heart. To me, I don't define an athlete by medals or rings or anything else. I look at them for how they redefine the sport, and she has done that. Her greatness was not diminished in the least for me, and I speak for anyone I've talked to. Bravo.
Megan, what did you feel about her announcement?
I was just surprised. You know, I had said on the show last week I was just so looking forward to watching her compete. She is the greatest gymnast of all time, if not the greatest athlete. I mean, definitely in that sport, she's just incredible. I think that I never judge what's going on. You never know what's going on with someone behind closed doors. It doesn't matter. Some of the most famous, wealthy, accomplished people I've ever met in my entire life were the most miserable, and had the most demons. And when you're competing on that kind of level, God knows the kind of pressure. I couldn't do it. I'm nowhere near an Olympic athlete. So I hope she knows America loves her. I hope that I can watch her compete again. I hope she gets to a place where she feels the support she needs. And for whatever it's worth, one of the statements that was put out was talking about her sexual trauma with her coach that had been happening to her since she was a child, and the sexual abuse that her coach had done to her and many people on the Olympic team. And the Olympic team and the Olympics really needs to start protecting people, especially young women, from things like that. That went on for years. And the fact that it's playing a role in this and her not being able to compete in the Olympics is particularly tragic.
Sonny, does this take this toll that she's taking on as an Olympian, as the dominant woman we see? Do we think we might be putting a little too much pressure on these athletes?
Well, you know, I think these athletes, they're elite athletes, and so they certainly put a lot of pressure on themselves. But in terms of the pressure being put on Olympic athletes, one need only look at the 2020 HBO documentary that Michael Phelps did, and it's called The Weight of Gold. And he outlines his own mental health struggles and the fact that he spoke to a lot of other Olympic athletes. And he said this, he said, I think it took 5 Olympics for me to really see it. I think me being in the mental state that I was going into 2016 allowed me that opportunity to be open, to have the interactions that I had with other athletes. And that led me to believe that there are others that are struggling and struggling very, very hard. He's even with his battle with depression, being an Olympic athlete, remember, he's the most decorated Olympic athlete of all time, he contemplated suicide. And so really, when you think about Simone Biles, you know, like Megan said, she did have this terrible trauma of sexual assault by her team doctor, somebody that she trusted. I've spent years working with sexual assault survivors, and it really takes mental toughness to be able to take care of yourself and your mental well-being. And what I'm disgusted again by today are people saying that she's a quitter? Are people saying that she doesn't have mental toughness? You don't get to be Simone Biles without that kind of mental toughness. How dare they? And the bottom line is, this is about to thyself be true. And that is what she's doing. She's taking care of herself, her mental wellness, health. And that is what's most important here. She is the GOAT, and she will continue to be the GOAT.
Okay. Joy, what's your take on this?
I'd just like to tell everybody that the sexual abuser is rotting in jail, and I hope he just rots there. But, you know, I was thinking about how kids in this country lately, I keep hearing about this, I might be wrong, but it seems like they're being raised to be the best at something, the best. You know, there's a lot of pressure on kids to be the best. She was only 14 years old when she really started this whole thing. And I just think it's too much on all children to be told that they have to be the best at anything, whether you're in the Olympics or just in any kind of elementary school. It's a very bad idea. You should excel, for sure, and you should do the best you can. But to be the best, no, that's wrong. And I feel bad for this child. I really do. I think that she suffers because of what happened to her as a child, and continues to plague her probably. And
Well, I think just as we go to break that I'll say this. Simone Biles said she needed a break, and she's taking a break. Doesn't mean she's not coming back to compete in this Olympics. And I think when she's ready, she will get out there and she will kick butt. And for all the naysayers, I dare one of you to try one thing that she has done. Just do a backflip. See, we all been sitting here with our behinds getting big. Nobody can do this backflip. So you know what? Back off and watch a pro do magic.